And Jacob Fatu doesn't waste any time as he soars through the middle rope to take out McIntyre. McIntyre still has his entrance gear on. He's still got those gauntlets and his entrance coat. The ref is only here to count to 3 or check on the submission. McIntyre, who's been driven into the post. Oh, it gets sent over by the timekeeper's area. Already coming into play. Here comes a table. And here comes another. Chairs too. Wonder if he's setting up for a dinner party. Probably not. It's certainly going to be a party. But it ain't going to be the party that Drew McIntyre is going to like. It's going to be a beatdown party. Chairs, tables involved. And takes a shot at McIntyre. What does Jacob Fatu have in mind? He's got the toolbox. And the smirk, that devious smirk of Jacob Fatu as he clears out the toolbox. Went to clock it on the skull of McIntyre. That was a close call. McIntyre fell down, begged for forgiveness. McIntyre was quick, though, to kick at the leg. Now it's McIntyre. Oh, he had the toolbox in hand only to toss in the ring. He realized he was in deep trouble and wanted to quickly get that out of the way. Oh, and the back of the head connecting with the steel support of the ring. No, 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 no. Not this. Oh, the throat coming into contact with the supports that hold up the ring. Drew McIntyre setting up the table now that Jacob Fatu introduced into the match. McIntyre is always a man who's always prided himself on his viciousness. A man who's always prided himself on being the man that will always go to the next level when it comes to destroying his opponents. Jacob Fatu able to break free when he needed it the most, sending McIntyre into the post. Oh, what a clothesline on the floor that turned Fatu inside out. Oh, it's time for social media. And now beating Jacob Fatu with his phone. That's Drew McIntyre's brother, who flew down to tune in and be up and close. Could turn in a real wrenching moment, if you will, for Jacob Fatu, realizing trouble was near. A clothesline for Drew McIntyre, who spent a little bit too much time showboating. Got the boot up, but unfazed by it is the Samoan Werewolf with a senton in the center of the ring. Full steam ahead. And a splashing bit of momentum and a McIntyre with following up with repeated headbutts to the Scottish Warrior. Again, Jacob Fatu. You don't mess with Jacob Fatu, paying homage to the late great Umaga. Popping up. Samoan drop, picture perfect. Jacob Fatu looks to put away Drew McIntyre, but McIntyre stays alive. Just popping up and powering down the 280-pound Scottish Warrior. Look at this pop-up as Drew McIntyre got sent high into the air and crashed and burned into the mat. And the steel chair in a hand, but a run, just a head start, literally a head start on that Glasgow kiss by Drew McIntyre. Just flying at Jacob Fatu. Now wedging that steel chair in between the turnbuckle bars. Drew McIntyre's always got a trick up the sleeve. Drew McIntyre knows what he's got to do to get down and dangerous. The next move that comes to play, Jacob Fatu countered, but Drew McIntyre was able to stop his tracks holding onto the ropes. Oh! Jacob Fatu head first onto the top of the post. And a German that turns and flips Jacob Fatu midsection first into the mat. And a pissed off McIntyre has really turned and shifted the tides of this matchup. McIntyre hyping himself up. The Scottish Warrior bitter as ever. What is McIntyre thinking right now? I think he's thinking about a WrestleMania moment as a sword tope con hilo taking out Jacob Fatu up and over the top, laying out Fatu on the outside on the floor. And now looking to close this one out with a Claymore. A Claymore without an explosion as Jacob Fatu ducks to get out of harm's way. Oh, talk about an explosion. McIntyre got sent into the steel steps. And the moonsault by Fatu to put away McIntyre. It could be. Oh, but McIntyre stays alive. How in the world did Drew McIntyre just kick out? First, let's get a look at this. Up and over. Drew McIntyre taking out Fatu on the floor. Then here comes the springboard moonsault off the top. Picture perfect. Following that followed Drew McIntyre being sent head first into the steel chair that was wedged in between the turnbuckle bars and still wasn't enough to put McIntyre away. You gotta wonder, what's it gonna take to put away the Scottish Warrior? Allegiant Stadium is glued. Oh! The wrench to the knee of Jacob Fatu. That could be the turn of this match. And using the wrench. Oh, is he going to gouge the eye out with a wrench? I mean, this is what Unsanctioned's all about. It's all legal. And the lack of compassion for McIntyre as he laughs deviously at his actions of nearly gouging out the eyeball of Jacob Fatu with a wrench. No remorse from the Scottish Warrior whatsoever as he follows up his dangerous activities by setting up two steel chairs across from each other. And it's only going to get worse for Jacob Fatu as a suplex could be near for the Samoan Werewolf and gets driven through the chairs. McIntyre hooking the close leg to put away Fatu, but it's just not enough to put away Jacob Fatu. McIntyre thought he had it won. You got to stay level-headed. Dan Engler, the official, he's been having a great week after being uncursed by Danhausen. Drew McIntyre yelling at referee Dan Engler to hand him the belt. This is very similar to what transpired a couple weeks ago. Dan Engler, his face displeased by having to give his belt away. Looking to humiliate Jacob Fatu. A good old-fashioned belt whooping. But a super kick from Jacob Fatu blocks the belt. Swinging that chair and just driving into the spine of Drew McIntyre. Oh, and again. Now, how the tables have turned. Look who's got the belt. And Jacob Fatu has the belt. The first shot connects. and just whipping away at Drew McIntyre. With each shot, they get harder and harder. The welts will start to form. Chaos that has ensued was all expected. The limits to which these two men have been willing to go has been foreseen. And Jacob Fatu has that steal. Oh, Claymore! Claymore! Too much time from Jacob Fatu. Oh! But the Samoan werewolf stays alive. And I said Drew McIntyre was entering this match fully confident, level-headed, and keeping control of his emotions. But I may have stood corrected by Drew McIntyre's loss of focus, arguing with referee Dan Engler following the kick out by Jacob Fatu from Drew McIntyre's Claymore kick, a move that very few have kicked out of. Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre are unleashing hell and chaos on each other. Oh, what a right from Fatu as McIntyre follows it up with a chop. It's been blow for blow between these two men in the center of the ring. Who was going to get the upper hand? These two have hit each other with absolutely everything but the kitchen sink as Fatu headbutts away at McIntyre to get the upper hand. Who wants hell? Who wants the chaos? Who wants the taste of fury? There comes the table. This is the other table that Jacob Fatu brought into play. Jacob Fatu has Drew McIntyre right where he wants him as he drives McIntyre face first onto the table. And shot after shot by Fatu trying to cement his legacy here at WrestleMania, trying to get one step closer and push through Drew McIntyre to get to the next stage. You got to think this has got to be the end if whatever Jacob Fatu is planning connects. McIntyre is quick to get off the table and just launching the chair that was in front of him at the head of Fatu, only to follow up with a steel chair to the spine. Oh, and pushing Fatu off the top through the table. The danger zone. McIntyre holding onto the midsection. Damage is there. A rough landing for Jacob Fatu. Drew McIntyre, the fury in his eyes as he's measuring up. Jacob Fatu went for one more Claymore, but a super kick and another one. The second one sends McIntyre down off his rocker. And a third attempt to use this toolbox will finally come into play. And it does. It clocks it across the temple of McIntyre. And once more. And the moonsault through McIntyre, through the table. And it's all over. The Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu, is victorious. What a win for Jacob Fatu. It was violent, as promised. It was chaotic. These two men were hell-bent on ripping each other's heads off. They promised, they delivered, they gave it all. Drew McIntyre, unfortunately, coming up short. At least unfortunate for him. Fortunately for Jacob Fatu, finally getting over on Drew McIntyre, getting his revenge. Jacob Fatu can hopefully look at Drew McIntyre's the path and move forward, and hopefully this time can work his way to the WWE Championship. Look at how we got here. First, it was McIntyre knocking Fatu off the top through the table. Let's get a look at that from a different angle. Absolutely devastating. And then this was the beginning of the end. The final blow from the steel toolbox to the moonsault through the table. That was all over. Dan Engler counted to 3. Jacob Fatu is victorious. An overview. You gotta see multiple views of this. An absolute picture-perfect moonsault by Jacob Fatu. Who does it better? I don't know if there's anybody that does. Just another step for Jacob Fatu on his road to glory. An impressive victory and an impressive display of violence at the hands of Jacob Fatu as he put down the Scottish Warrior at the Showcase of Immortals.